ladies and gentlemen. What you are looking at right now is a flock of ostriches. And in the intro segment for today's episode, we are going to have an update and refreshing of Canadian authoritarianism. But it's so darn polite, eh? Ostriches are simply amazing. They weigh something like 300 pounds, maybe more. They're delicious. Their eggs are delicious. Their feathers are awesome. Their talons are outrageous. In a one-on-one fight with a lion, it's 50-50 in terms of which one lives and which one dies. I'm not convinced about their intelligence. They're like prehistoric, unbelievable creatures. And if you, by the way, if many of you don't know this, everybody thinks like my claim to fame was squirrels, which it might have been. 2014, November. Viva Fry records squirrel steals GoPro, takes it up a tree, drops it. Internet history was created. If you put in Viva Fry ostriches and you just go to videos, you'll find at least 15 videos of me with some ostrich-related activity, oftentimes involving eating ostriches. Now, it's a terrible thing. They're delicious. They have very lean meat, which tastes like filet mignon. It cooks like regular red meat, but it's poultry. Something's driving me crazy here. Hold on a second. No, that was the wrong way. We're going to go this way. And today we are having an update in the Universal Ostrich Farms coming out of Canada. It's a story I've been following, I say pretty closely, closer than most, since I became aware of it. And this is a story under which, pursuant to which, in the context of which, the totally polite, non-authoritarian Canadian government, through its CFIA, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, determined that not a flock of ostriches, but rather a group of ostriches, 398 or maybe 397 at this point in time, to be specific, need to be culled, slaughtered, because in December 2024, a half dozen or maybe even less, a couple tested positive for the H5N1 avian flu, and the CFIA comes in. It's just an agency that has total control to steal, murder your pets and property. Comes in and says, you got to kill all of these ostriches immediately. And Katie from Universal Ostrich Farm contested the decision. They got a federal court that stayed the execution of the decision. Pun intended. I'm going to use that a couple of times today. And they have now been forced to take this case all the way to Ottawa. And so you're going to have Katie giving us the update because there was a stay of the order. A federal judge came in and said, no, the CFIA, which it's a federal agency, it's a federal agency, but in Canada, you've got these like administrative tribunals that adjudicate on their own rules. And a federal court came to the conclusion that the ruling by the CFIA or whatever administrative body it was that authorized the order to kill was not fundamentally unreasonable. And therefore the CFIA should go back and be able to kill 398 healthy ostriches because none of them are sick. And people have been asking for an update in the story, so we're going to do it. Katie, when you're ready to come in.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's going okay.
All right,
yeah.
So it's
Thanks
funny.
for having me.
Well, thank you for coming back on. And we've now lived through a changing of the seasons. It used to be winter and snowy behind you, and now it's beautiful greenery of BC. Tell the world who may not know who you are, who you are.
So I'm Katie Pasitny. I'm the oldest daughter of my mom, Karen, who's owner of the Universal Ostrich Farms in Edgewood, British Columbia. And I've watched these ostriches grow up and they've watched me grow up. So it's a pretty passionate project in keeping these animals alive. And it's grown into a much larger project, which with awareness and realizing that this has way more potential to do so much more harm with the stamping of policy, our freedoms, our land rights, our animals, and the complete insufficient accountability of the Canadian Food Inspection Agency and excessive operational freedom that they are allowed to have. So it's been growing, but so hi, thanks for having me.
So the latest of what happened is there was a whole judicial saga. We don't need to get back into it, but CFIA comes in and says you got to kill all your ostriches because two of them tested positive for PCR, for H5N1 with a PCR test on two of the dead carcasses. Yep. You challenge this. It takes months for the ruling from the federal court to come down. And
Yep.
I said, ironically, that the longer it takes to adjudicate on this, the more the court's going to have to say there's no rush or even necessity to kill these birds because none of them are sick or infected. Nonetheless, the federal court comes in and says, yeah, the order was fine. You got to kill them all.
Yep.
In that time, two ostriches were found dead, but I think one of them was found dead earlier than what I initially thought. What was the situation with two ostriches that were found dead on your property?
So the two ostriches were the ones that actually were requested by Canadian Food Inspection Agency to run the tests on. And we thought that they were going to come out. And this was all off an anonymous tip, remember? So we had in total, out of this, whatever came through our farm, we had 69 die. So, but with the a number of our flock that was less than 15%. So in H5N1, you'll, if you look back in commercial poultry facility operations and stuff, you have about 20 to 30,000 that die in about 24 to 36 hours. So this was very good. I mean, we had more than 3/4 of our farm that had no symptoms, no deaths. And that's what we were really trying to highlight to the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. They requested 2 deceased birds to run the tests on. They came out and ran the controversial PCR tests. Tests on just the 2 dead animals. At the same time, we asked them if we could test our healthy animals, and they said no. We asked them if we could test the ones that had been sick and recovered, and they said no. And so then before that, they left with those PCR results. And before the ink could even dry out of the printer at the Abbotsford lab, which can only detect and detect H5, not the N1, they already signed our CULL order. So the only accredited lab to diagnose the H5N1 is the lab in Winnipeg. And so before we even had the H5N1 diagnosis, they already signed our CULL order. And we found that out through our legal proceedings. So here we are, and now we've just won this would be our second stay, emergency stay. And our judicial review in Vancouver didn't go very well. They dismissed every dispute we had. They didn't give us our correct time to be heard. We agreed on 50-50. We had about 25% of the time to talk. Our judge, unfortunately, was even dozing off during our portions, and we were like, this is not looking very good for us. So we came home to hunker down with a bunch of supporters and just be prepared for the worst case scenario while we were trying to put in our information for another appeal and an emergency stay order. We are granted that emergency stay order right now, and we're preparing for our formal appeal in Ottawa.
Okay. And there was something interesting that happened in the interim was that, hold on, the stay order. Oh, for goodness sake, I forgot. It'll come back in a second.
Bird. We had another shot bird.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant by the 2 dead birds. So you had 2 ostriches get found dead, shot on your property.
Shot, yes. So that happened between the last 3 months. We've had 2. One, somebody came and shot through our fence. Was really heartbreaking. It was a 12-year-old beautiful hen named Sarah. And then we had one that very strangely enough, and we don't know, this is speculation on our behalf because there is not a full investigation that has been put on, but we had a very big drone fly over our property one night. Woke up to a beautiful rooster that was in the middle of the field and had an entrance wound, slit his neck open, and an exit wound. So again, the investigation is open on that. We have a very small policing community in Cusp, British Columbia, and we're waiting for more information on that. But it's been sad to see that's where it's taken us.
RFK Jr. took an interest in this. He wrote a letter to the CFIA saying, don't kill the birds. We would like to have them for research purposes because given that they survived apparently H5N1 infection, there would be antibodies or whatever in the yolk. And I don't know the science behind it, but set that aside. He says, we'll take all of them for research purposes. Yeah. And the CFIA president replies, go pound sand. We have the moral obligation to kill these animals.
Yeah, so forever it's been about our trading partners too. They've been pushing that in our hearings and or in court. And they say that it's about our trading partner policies. That's been a big one. And so here we are, we have our largest trading partner saying we're willing to collaborate with you, save the research for animal and human health. We see something instrumental here. H5N1 does not persist indefinitely in an animal. It just does not. Let's work together to see what we can do. And yeah, and then basically go pound sand. So here we are. It's one of our largest trading partners. Now we're back to, then they came at us with, we have a novel reassortment of H5N1, which is untrue again. And, why didn't we talk about this novel reassortment not found anywhere else at the very beginning of December, if that was the case? There is these reassortments. They're just underreported. So our ostriches are worth way more alive than they are dead. We are a recovered flock. We have vets and doctors reaching out to us saying, hey, whoa, we have a really great opportunity here. We wouldn't have the option to be identified as a recovered flock if we didn't fight right out of the gates. They'd all be dead. So how many opportunities do we have to have recovered herds or recovered flocks if we just eradicate and kill the biodiversity and the genetics that they're going in with with way too much operational freedom, and they're killing. So this, yeah.
And I remembered what I wanted to mention is that the CFIA comes in and says, we're going to kill these anyhow. There was some, say, internal drama, or at least an internal solution, which was the local dumps. I don't know what word to use, that we're going to take the corpses, said we're not taking them unless they are testing positive for H5N1, which would be impossible because they don't test positive. And so has that proven to be the temporary solution to preventing the CFIA from slaughtering them up until you got a stay of the order?
Yeah, I think definitely that was a huge pushback. I was actually on with you on a show the day I was at Regional District of the Kootenay Boundaries. And we didn't know how that was going to go because we went in and I just made the last question of that meeting. And I pleaded our case as a farm. I went in there obviously with tears. And I just said, please, we're all human. Take off your suit jackets. Let's look at this. There should be no reason that you're going to accept healthy animals. They need to be tested. And they called us back after I was on with you, and we had to go back. They put forth a motion that they would not accept any of our ostriches. Still makes me emotional today. Without new testing from May 15th on, proving that they are sick, that they will not accept them. So they set a precedence. And I do believe that pushed back somewhat. And I'm hoping that would carry precedence to the other regions in the area too. Because why are I don't know any landfill we don't accept carcasses of animals. And we don't accept carcasses of animals. We shouldn't start accepting carcasses of animals. It has all of its own risks. And so we're just gonna, that it was a huge pushback. Think of the transportation and the biohazard risk on the highways and the animals eating or digging up, or what had happened in the landfills with all these animals that are being accepted without testing. So
well, what they were suggesting was unfeasible and just purely punitive in terms of like digging, like just dispose of them and if their infected bodies are in fact infected, scattered to the wind and leak into the water and whatever. Still protected tweets. Someone told me that the tweets have always been protected from the CFIA and the president, but government accounts should not be allowed to protect their Twitter handles. So you are appealing the federal court decision to not strike down or override the CFIA's CULL order, and that you're literally Katie going to Ottawa, which is like Jimmy going to Washington. Was that what it was? The guy who went to Washington in the famous movie. So you're going to Ottawa to the Federal Court of Appeal. When is that hearing?
So we'll find out the dates today, I believe. Then there's been a lot of people even talk about, because this isn't about policy issues, just policy issues. I mean, they reflect real consequences for farmers, for animals, the integrity of our agricultural system. This is something that's affecting everybody right now across Canada and on a global scale, because the stamping of policy is not just here. So we'll find out those dates today. I'm pretty sure I'll let you know. And there's been a lot of people even talking about maybe this will be the next, it'll be an agricultural convoy. We're not going to blow horns downtown or anything like crazy like that. But I think it's maybe time that we unite. We're seeing, irreversible damage to our farming communities. We're seeing the loss of genetics and biodiversity, failure to improve through oversight. Canadian Food Inspection Agency operates with excessive freedom. Remember this, they don't go checked. They very much failed their 2018 audit, 2021 audit. They all say the same thing. They should not have this excessive operational freedom and insufficient accountability. It's a problem, and we just need to bring back the trust in Canadians and all agricultural sector, because there's real consequences with eroding trust in our agricultural industry, and we're seeing it all across the world.
And so, barring the two extrajudicial slayings of these ostriches, you don't know who did it yet. The CULL order is on pause until there's a ruling from the Court of Appeal, which is going to be, it's funny, it's going to be reviewing the federal court's ruling, which itself was reviewing the ruling of the CFIA, which had to adhere to the deferential rule of this administrative tribunal. So,
we're going to be, if you can believe this, by the time we're done Ottawa, and if we go to our hearing, we're going to be about $500,000 in.
I was just asked that. So what's the give, send, go, or where can people?
You can donate at saveourostriches.com. It's carrying us through, because right now, if you can believe, we're 161 days just healthy animals. We're about 180 days or more under quarantine. We're handcuffed to the system. They've handcuffed us from making money. They've handcuffed us from making any revenue. So we're really solely relying on everybody's contributions and kindness, shares, and praying to see us through what we're going through. I want to thank everybody for understanding how that this is a bigger global issue, and that this fight, with the momentum we have real opportunity to create the change that all of us really desperately need.
Katie, it's amazing. It's like the ups and downs of good news, bad news. Good news, bad news. Like, oh, good news, they won't take the carcasses. Bad news, CFIA says we're going to kill them. Good news, RFK says we'll take them. CFIA, bad news, says no, we don't want to give them to you. We want to kill them. Yeah. So, come back on, give us the update, and you and I will continue DMing back and forth. So when there's any update, if you can or cannot come back on, let me know. I'll share it with the audience. Let me know what the dates are. We can send people there to attend peacefully and patriotically.
Right.
And Katie, keep fighting the good fight, and I'll keep doing what I can from down here.
Yeah, you're doing an amazing job in everything you do. Thank you for your platform, and thank you for everything you stand for. So thank you, everybody.
I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, people, that's the Canadian side of things.